My name is Monda Dugan. It's Seda. We're representing Monda Consulting, and we're here today for obviously the UGBC BC Office of Sustainability case competition. But I'm an environmental studies major and Hispanic studies minor.
And I'm Seda Sargsyan, and I am a finance major with a concentration and background in marketing. All right, so let's get into it. So this is our executive summary. We are proposing a fellowship program for the Office of Sustainability. Now, why a fellowship program? Because we think it has incredible synergies with just BC's campus in general, and there's a little bit of a lack of engagement or trouble engaging with the student body, so we think this would perfectly address, and we'll get later into it. So if we take a look at this, we organized BC compared to a few other universities in the area. They're grouped on their endowment size, so you can see that on the bottom. So as we see, BC has a $4 billion endowment for fiscal year 2024. And with this, it is not the leader in any of the categories compared to the other schools, despite its endowment being a lot higher than two of the schools on here. So this puts BC as kind of lacking compared to the market in general.
Right, and so we sat down and we tried to figure out what was behind this, and we boiled it down to three core issues. BC's Office of Sustainability is disconnected from campus. It's understaffed, and it's financially constrained, and we broke that down a little bit more. So first and foremost, BC's Office of Sustainability is located at 300 Hammond Parkway, which is 1.4 miles from Gaston Hall. That is a 30-minute walk. It is a 7-minute drive and a 9-minute bike ride, but a lot of students don't have access to bikes or cars, so it's pretty hard to get there and to kind of learn more about it beyond just the website. And then in addition to that, it's kind of socially disconnected from campus. There's a lack of awareness of what the Office of Sustainability does. At the end of last year, there were 3,000 followers on Instagram, and since then, it has only grown marginally, and so we've seen that there's a lack of growth, and yeah.
And after speaking with a former intern, Dugan, she said she helped grow the Instagram for the Office of Sustainability from around 400 followers to around 3,000. And after that, as Molly said, it's only marginally increased.
Exactly. And so, diving a little deeper, we also found that the Office of Sustainability has an understaffed team. Based on interviews we conducted, it currently has 4 part-time interns, 75% of which will graduate in 2025 or 2026. And again, we just wanted to compare that to some other schools in the area, and BC has the smallest number of staff total, and we just have 4 part-time interns compared to other schools who have full-time employees in addition to student interns. And because of this, I think there's a high risk for burnout, and there's a limited capacity for the office.
And further talking into that, there's also a silo happening, because 3 out of the 4 interns in the Office of Sustainability are in MCAS versus one of them being in the theology school. So with this, there's not a lot of interdisciplinary action happening.
Exactly. And last but not least, we found that the office has an unclear budget. It was difficult to find information about their finances, and just limited information available online at all. But what we do know is that the Office of Sustainability is part of the Facilities Department. Thank you again, representatives of the Facilities Department, for being here. And so
I'm learning all this is great for me.
Yes. And so when we looked online, we found that Facilities Department has a long list of responsibilities, as you know, and sustainability kind of falls last. If you look on the website, it lists all of these, and then last but not least, sustainability, and it's not in alphabetical order. Maybe it was the newest edition, but something we wanted to highlight.
And with this, we're introducing our first year fellowship.
Yes, so the first year fellowship program is an opportunity for 8 to 12 freshmen to join and get involved with the Office of Sustainability in a fun way, maybe to hear about it at the club fair next fall. And so this number 2 would depend on how many interns are currently working at the office. So Right now there's 4, so we set the mentor number at 4. There would be 2 to 3 fellows per mentor or per intern. And then in advisory or faculty advisory. And this would be, like I said, a way for freshmen to get involved with the Office of Sustainability. It would look like weekly cohort meetings, so getting to know the other students who have also been selected through an application process to be a part of this program. It would look like shadowing your mentor, who's a student intern, once a week, kind of helping to support what they're doing and their workload, and then weekly deliverables as well. This would occur fall 2025 and spring of 2026. It would kind of be a 1-year rotation and presumably continue onwards after that, and it would be located at the Office of Sustainability, so kind of wherever the student's mentor is, so if they're in office there, or if not, perhaps on Zoom or remotely, and then it would also occur on main campus, so finding a common convening space that's maybe a little closer for the freshmen to gather so they can get to know each other and get to know the office more.
All right, and here we have our 4 lovely current interns at the Office of Sustainability. And what would the mentor responsibilities be for these interns? So these interns would have to coordinate once every 2 weeks a meeting. So this meeting would be just to collaborate with all the 8 to 12 freshmen in this pilot program. And they would have collaborations, guest speakers collaborating with different groups on campus, such as Start a Che, or Women in Business, or the Geology Club, for example. And then what would the responsibilities look like for a fellow? The fellow would have to show up to mentor meetings, they would meet with the intern mentors, they would attend these bi-monthly meetings, and they will also work on passion projects.
And so I'm sure you're asking yourself, this kind of sounds like an unpaid internship. Why would I sign up for this if I'm a freshman? Well, Seda and I have both been freshmen. We're seniors right now, but we were in those shoes back in the day. And what we found is that freshmen are really looking for experience. There's a lack of things on their resume, or when I was a freshman, I just wanted to build my resume. But in addition to that, you're building community, you're getting immersed in BC, the BC community, getting to know upperclassmen, as well as engaging with other clubs on campus. You're getting, like I said, experience, lines on your resume that you can add, and you're getting the opportunity to take initiative. We found that from research we did, students are key stakeholders when it comes to sustainable development, and they're also the future leaders, and so focusing in on this group is hugely important. It's also going to change the landscape of BC over the course of their 4 years and probably inspire the generations to come. And it's also leading to a sense of purpose. This is mission-driven work. We're at Boston College, a Jesuit institution, and the mission statement is men and women for others. This is a great opportunity to kind of dive in and get involved with it. And yeah, so we have these 3 kind of core pillars of why freshmen would want to get involved. And again, it's not just about the freshmen there, but there's obviously benefits to the Office of Sustainability too, and a huge return on investment, as we'll get into later.
Agreed. And also the new administration with Father Jack coming in is really excited about the impact of sustainability at BC. We reached out just out of curiosity to see if he would be willing to set up a meeting with us about it. And he responded back with such enthusiasm, and we ended up setting up a meeting. Unfortunately, it was after this date, scheduled for April 2nd, but it just goes to show just the enthusiasm that the new administration has for Boston College students and what they're really interested in.
Exactly.
All right. So how is this going to impact the Office of Sustainability, and how is this going to impact students on BC's campus? Well, first of all, like we mentioned before, there's silos that exist currently in the Office of Sustainability. So to fix this, having a group of 8 to 12 freshmen come in and just pursue their passions within this fellowship program would be incredible, because you would fill these knowledge gaps that currently exist and allow these students a part of the fellowship to explore their passions with different mentors. So we would plan to have these setup sessions from the interns with different professors on campus, and we'll dive into that a little bit later as well. But what would it look like for BC? Well, inclusion would rise on campus, freshmen would be talking to other freshmen, and it would really just foster this organic growth that is really sustainable. And then the reputation of the Office of Sustainability would rise. We're suggesting that this would increase in more following happening to both the website as well as the Instagram, and different projects could be taken. So let's say, for example, there's a student interested in computer science but also has a passion for sustainability. So this student could theoretically join this fellowship program and pursue both of these passions, and that could lead to just this incredible trickle-down economy that would start within this fellowship program, where the website could be improved, the student could be able to pursue his passion, and so forth.
And just kind of tagging on to that, there's a snowball effect here when, the more you engage freshmen with the Office of Sustainability, and you see them showing up week after week, you're seeing who's invested in it, you're also seeing what their work ethic is like, and so you're going to see this improvement in, overall quality, you could say, and the employees who work for the Office of Sustainability, you're going to see who really cares about it.
Yeah, definitely. And then how would this look like if we implement it? So this implementation strategy would start very soon. So it would start in April. And this would be outlining the major goals of the organization, what are some things the interns would like to accomplish within the first pilot program. And it would be reaching out to different professors on campus, reaching out to different clubs who would be interested in creating a collaborative session, and so forth. And then June and July would be where the curriculum would actually be created. So it would be just organizing all that initial data collection from April and May and just turning that into a fully fledged program. And then this would culminate in August and September when the club fair actually happens. There would be tabling on campus and the applications would be released and more students would just be aware of the fellowship opportunity on campus. So I'm sure the most important part of this, how much does it cost? And we have outlined it to be around $750, and this is also accounting for 10% extra on miscellaneous costs that might be attributed to inflation, or maybe some costs aren't really aligned. So tabling would be $0, $10 for maybe some materials, some shirts to get people enticed. Freshmen love free stuff, we know this. So just get them some cool BC Office of Sustainability merch. And to be a little bit extra sustainable, we can make it in the makerspace, even in this very building. And then some advertising materials at Eagle Print, located again at BC, very accessible. You can go print out quarter sheets, you can go print out posters, and just full boards to put all over campus. And then some Charlie cards for some field trips that we would plan for the interns as well as the fellows. And then some snacks, because who doesn't like snacks at a meeting? So undoubtedly there's a lot of things that could go wrong, but these can all be mitigated. Low turnout for applications, many moving parts, lack of accountability. But with early engagement and just spreading the news across campus, getting students really excited, having the passion from the interns and just the student body is going to help make people want to apply. And then having a clear organizational structure with our 4 amazing interns will just really help make this program flow as smoothly as possible. We have, as is right now, we have 1 graduate intern and 3 undergraduate interns. So having a graduate intern be the head of this program and keep all the other interns kind of reporting to this graduate intern would keep the cohesiveness and structure in a way that's really nice and organized.
And so, kind of just to summarize, what we talked about today is, again, first year fellowship. This is important because students are the key stakeholders and future leaders when it comes to sustainable development and the climate crisis. And so this would be a program that involves mentorship, weekly meetings, community building. And it's needed because right now there's low awareness of what the Office of Sustainability does. And it's also, it feels very far away, both physically and socially, as we touched on. So this would kind of bring it closer to campus. If someone in your 8-man in Walsh works for the Office of Sustainability, you're going to have a better understanding or a better idea of what they do, and you're going to recognize the name when you see it. And that, again, has a snowball effect. And why this? Because it's going to foster a stronger community at a lower cost while increasing the overall capacity of the Office of Sustainability.
So what needs to happen right now? Right now, we need to come up with a list of everyone who would have a potential interest in participating in this program. It would be students, professors, and marketing materials would need to be created, and the interns should get together and create a plan for those leaving, a contingency plan as well, and just create what they would really like, because this is just a framework at the end of the day. It's up to the interns to really put their passion, their expertise into cultivating a program that's going to be remembered and adored by BC students for generations to come.
Well, thank you so much. We'd like to open it up to questions now.
Thank you so much. First of all, nice job reaching out to Father Jack. Are you keeping that that April 2nd meeting?
Yeah, we have it.
All right.
Next
That's,
week.
that's exciting.
Yeah, thank you so much for great presentation. Wanted to ask about, are there any ways, this program could have a force multiplication across BC sustainable goals, like thoughts about, you'll have these fellowship folks. Do you have any like projects that they would work on or things that they would try to improve the overall sustainability of BC?
I can start with this question. So right now the idea is that they would support the existing interns with projects that they already have, ensuring that things get done well and yeah, exactly. But with beyond that, we would love to institute passion projects. So these students, if they have a favorite speaker, a favorite person in the sustainability realm, maybe having them come to campus as a speaker or putting on an event they think students would like.
Furthermore, if we take a look at this slide over here, these are sample mentors that we found on BC's campus, and there's a plethora more. So these are just a few professors from different disciplines. So we have someone from the Lynch School, Rebecca Levine. We have TPG on the left, and then we have Sandra Waddick in operations. And this is just a few of the professors that, if a student has an interest in, let's say, finance, we'll go the finance route, and they really want to learn more about maybe environmental economics and how they can have an impact. Maybe they're not sure if that's like a job opportunity, or maybe if that's like a way to institute a project that really merges economics really well and finance really well, as well as the environment. How do you do that? You meet with the professor and you figure out a game plan. And this would all be done by the interns cultivating that list and setting up these connections. So that's how we see it really impacting for the fellowship program and the students.
So current structure with interns stays kind of as it is. In terms of the optimal numbers for freshman fellows, did you have a number in mind or a goal of what that would look like?
Yeah, we'd like to keep it as 2 to 3 per student intern, 2 to 3 fellows per student intern. That way they get support, but the intern doesn't feel overwhelmed by having a lot of people to mentor or keep track of. And obviously this number can change if there are more interns, and obviously we'd love to add more fellows.
So if you go forward, I think you said 8 to 12 then, right? To
Yes.
your total number.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Since
that
we
makes
were
sense.
intern.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious about would there be like a full-time employee in this as well? Just see students, undergrad or just graduate students, I was thinking of hiring a management manager or something.
So right now we see that you guys have a interim director and not a full-time employed person in sustainability. So with this, we would love you guys to really take charge and lead this program. We've seen so many case studies with other organizations on campus. Started Che is one of them that we'd like to just highlight in this scenario. So Started Che has this program called the Freshman Ambassador Program. And within this program, it's just the members of the club who, like you guys, are paid to do work a part of Started Che. And in this program, they just create a wonderful, collaboration between the freshmen, and they also do passion projects similar to what we're suggesting. And it doesn't, Molly, would you like to maybe speak about more
Yeah.
the experience that you saw within that program?
Yeah, so we wanted to use Start at Che as a case study. Like Seda was saying, it's similar in the fact that it's run by students entirely. And this year they have a cohort of about 20 students with drop off of 1 or 2 throughout the year, but you really see through it who's kind of interested and wants to stay, keep showing up, and you get an idea of their work ethic too. But yeah, in our plan we would keep it as students. I think there's something special about having a student mentor when you're at BC and having that upperclassman guidance. So it's not necessary to have a full-time staff in there. I think it would be great to have an admin, but definitely not necessary within this plan and framework. Yes.
So you gave a cost of $750.
Yes, ma'am.
Lovely. So those are direct costs, right?
Yes.
What indirect costs do you think might be incurred if we were to go forward with this program? In other words, is it pulling dollars or resources, maybe resources are people's time, other kinds of resources, and that essentially that's a cost that would have to be borne by somebody?
Yes, so currently, after speaking with Margaret, who is an intern currently at the Office of Sustainability, we see that interns on average work around 6 hours per week, but there is some downtime within that. And mostly the jobs that are happening is preparing for Green Week, among some other activities, as well as monitoring the email to see if there's constant communication happening. And within this, we think there's a little bit of space that maybe 1 or 2 hours a week could be additionally dedicated to fostering this program and helping it grow. That's the major indirect cost that we would assume. But given that this is paid for by BC, we wouldn't say that this is directly coming out of the Office of Sustainability as like an additional cost that they would have to bear, because these interns are already being paid. It would just be a matter of time which they are being compensated for.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd also like to touch on the fact that through our interviews with current student interns, they say that their workload usually is in sync with their course workload. So maybe they have a midterm season where it's pretty busy or a final season where it's pretty busy. But beyond that, like if we were able to front load this project and make sure a lot of the planning gets done beforehand so that execution doesn't really require as much time, then you're not seeing that trade-off where student interns have to work on this or have this to work on top of other projects, because they're not necessarily going to overlap. I also wanted to touch on the fact that one way to avert some of these costs would be to have a donations page or have the Office of Sustainability able to be contributed to by donors. Currently it's not a section or an option. We had the BC Day of Giving recently. And just out of curiosity, I wanted to look into, is there a way to donate directly to the Office of Sustainability? And it's pretty tricky too, even if you search in sustainability, as you can see, there are no results. And so we thought maybe, and this is a separate tangent, but one way to kind of avert this could be a day of giving on Earth Day, for example, for the Office of Sustainability, to kind of bring in some more dollars. And there, you do kind of avoid some of those costs too.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.